Welcome to the Civil Rights Training for USDA School Nutrition Programs. The purpose of this training is to inform, train, and educate child nutrition program staff regarding USDA civil rights requirements. Also, to increase awareness of resources available to assist you in carrying out civil rights responsibilities. Schools and institutions receiving federal funds must follow civil rights regulations and policies. Food and Nutrition Service Instruction 113.1 is the federal regulation governing civil rights in the child nutrition programs. These programs include the National School Lunch Program, the School Breakfast Program, Seamless Summer Option, the Special Milk Program, the Summer Food Service Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. Annual civil rights training is required for all programs reimbursed with federal funding to ensure compliance against discrimination in all USDA nutrition programs. What are civil rights? Civil rights are the non-political rights of a citizen. The rights of personal liberty are guaranteed to United States citizens by the 13th and 14th Amendments to the United States Constitution and the Acts of Congress. Federal dollars fund food and nutrition programs across the United States. These monies are drawn from taxpayers nationwide, and as a result, everyone is entitled to equal use of the programs since tax dollars are intended for the benefit of all eligible persons. Child nutrition programs have always been available to all participants on an equal opportunity basis. What is discrimination? Discrimination is defined as the act of distinguishing one person or group of persons from others, either intentionally, by neglect, or by the effect of actions or lack of actions based on their protected classes. Treat all participants in the same manner with respect and dignity. In 1983, the United States Department of Justice issued civil rights compliance requirements for all federal agencies. Federal law prohibits discrimination based on these 6 protected classes. This means that services are to be available and that child nutrition program meals and snacks are to be served to all eligible participants, regardless of race, color, national origin, sex, age, or disability. Iowa adopts all the federal protected classes and plus 2 additional classes, religion and also creed. Creed is an individual set of beliefs, religious or otherwise. All federal child nutrition programs operating in the state of Iowa must adopt both the federal and the state protected classes. To qualify for federal financial assistance, the program application must be accompanied by a written assurance that the program or facility will be operated in compliance with civil rights laws and implement non-discrimination regulation. A civil rights assurance must be incorporated in all agreements between the state and local agencies. By accepting this assurance, the state agency and local agencies agree to compile data, maintain records, submit records and reports as required, permit effective enforcement of Iowa and USDA non-discrimination laws, and permit authorized personnel during the hours of program operation to review and copy such records, books, and accounts, access such facilities, and interview personnel as needed to ascertain compliance with non-discrimination laws. If there are violations of this assurance, the USDA Food and Nutrition Services shall have the right to seek judicial enforcement of this assurance. This assurance is binding on the state agency, its successors, transferees, and assignees, as long as it receives assistance or retains possession of any assistance from USDA. Public notification is required of all child nutrition programs. School food authorities are required to notify the public of program availability. Programs need to inform the media and all parents or guardians about program benefits, eligibility requirements, program services, the location, as well as the hours of operation. Materials must be provided in the appropriate translation as needed so that all families in your community can understand how to participate in your child nutrition program. Programs must adopt a policy on non discrimination and develop a procedure for filing a complaint. All programs must also prominently display the USDA non discrimination poster and Justice for All. More information can be found in the USDA Child Nutrition Program Civil Rights Manual, which is located on our website. Now it's time for a knowledge check. If you are watching this presentation as part of a group, it may be helpful to pause and discuss knowledge check questions. Since USDA Food and Nutrition Services funds are federal dollars, all eligible persons are entitled to participate equally in child nutrition programs. Is this true or false? And the answer is true. Here is a summary of the civil rights responsibilities for child nutrition programs. We will be reviewing each of these practices in more detail. Programs must operate in a non-discriminating manner, ensure all children have an equal opportunity to participate in meals, translate program materials as needed, accommodate disabilities, including making diet modifications, complete the racial ethnic form annually, and confirm that there is a written civil rights complaint procedure in place. Child nutrition programs must also train all staff on civil rights annually. Document the training with an agenda and sign-in sheet for all involved in any aspect of school nutrition. Display the End Justice for All poster in a prominent place. Use the complete USDA non-discrimination statement on all public documents and websites which mention the USDA Child Nutrition Program. The abbreviated statement may be used in limited circumstances. Provide a public release to the local media annually, and maintain all data on file for 3 years plus the current year. A checklist is available to assist school food authorities in determining compliance with annual civil rights requirements. The checklist is located on the School Nutrition Resource site on the Civil Rights page. You could go to this page, download and print the checklist, review each section annually to ensure that your school nutrition program is compliant with civil rights. We will be reviewing each of these sections today. The Injustice for All poster is a tool to help communicate the services and the benefits of your program. The format must be the 11 by 17-inch format, and the poster is to be displayed within the establishment where services and benefits are delivered, so that participants and potential participants have ready access in places such as the cafeteria, entrance to the facility, or the main office. Do you have the most current and Justice for All poster displayed in a visible location at all of your school nutrition serving locations? Now it's time for a knowledge check. Which poster must be on display in all schools during the meal service, such as the cafeteria? And hopefully you answered the Injustice for All poster since we just talked about it. This is a discussion opportunity. If you are watching this presentation as part of a group, it may be helpful to pause and discuss the importance of this poster, where it is displayed at your school, and ensure that it is displayed at each of the serving locations. The USDA non-discrimination statement must be included on all program materials used to inform the public about the USDA Child Nutrition Program. This is the most current complete federal non-discrimination statement. This statement is updated periodically, so you will want to be sure that you are using the most current version. The non-discrimination statement must be included on all printed materials when referring to the provision of child nutrition programs. The wording is to be exact, may not be changed in any way, and is to be a minimum of the font size 9. All program materials and media that publicize a USDA-funded food and nutrition service program must include the USDA federal non-discrimination statement. This may include parent notification letters, free and reduced price meal applications, student handbooks, employee handbooks, newsletters, brochures, print or broadcast ads, flyers, signs, and websites. This is the Iowa non-discrimination statement. The Iowa non-discrimination statement must also go on all program documents. A shorter version of the non-discrimination statement can be used only if the printed materials are on one page or less. The school breakfast and lunch menu provided to your households is one example where the abbreviated statement may be used. The statement reads, "This institution is an equal opportunity provider." The wording must not be changed in any way. What is the public release? At the beginning of each school year, each school food authority is required to provide the public release to a variety of community organizations to reach participants that are potentially eligible for free and reduced price meals. The state agency has a template available to use, which includes the required information. This template is shown on the slide. At minimum, school food authorities are required to send the public release to your local news media, which may include the newspaper, radio, or television. You are not required to pay to have it published, but please maintain the documentation on file as to where the public release was sent and include the date which it was sent. School food authorities also should provide the public release to any employers in your areas experiencing large layoffs or other relevant organizations in your community, such as the unemployment office. Another thing to consider, school food authorities should strive to convey the message of equal opportunity, show diversity and inclusion in all programs, and this may include photos and graphics. Now we will talk about civil rights and how it relates to customer service. Good customer service can often help reduce or eliminate complaints of discrimination. All participants must be treated in the same manner with courtesy and respect. All participants should have equal access to the same menu items and serving sizes that follow the meal pattern for their age and/or grade group. Participants should all be included in meals, snacks, activities, and discussions. Each person should receive equally positive comments as well as constructive education regarding mealtime, nutrition, manners, etc. Standards of behavior should not be based on membership in a protected class. In order to reduce the risk of a civil rights discrimination complaint, ask yourself the following questions each time an applicant and/or participant comes to your program for services. If you are watching this presentation as a part of a group, it may be helpful to pause and discuss these practices at your school. Am I treating this person in the same manner as I treat others? Have I informed this person of what information is needed to make a determination on the income application? Have I given this person the opportunity to ask questions? Have I provided this person the information that he or she needs to make the necessary decisions? Now it's time for another knowledge check. The complete USDA non-discrimination statement is required to be included on the nutrition program web page or a link to it. Is this true or false? And the answer is true. The complete USDA non-discrimination statement is required to be included on the nutrition program website or a link to it. Next, we will discuss free and reduced price meal applications. Child nutrition programs, including free and reduced meal benefits, must be made available to all students without discrimination. Admission procedures allow for all races and ethnicities to enroll in school and participate in child nutrition programs. Denied free and reduced price meal applications are not to be disproportionately composed of minority groups. Free and reduced meal benefits must also be provided to students in a manner that assures confidentiality. The information provided by families on the free and reduced meal application must not be used for any other purpose than determining and verifying eligibility for free and reduced priced meals. Parent written consent is always required to disclose children's eligibility status for any other purpose. Many schools provide fee waivers for other school programs. For more information on disclosing eligibility, please refer to the USDA Eligibility Manual or reach out to your assigned school nutrition consultant. Overt identification is any action that may result in a child being recognized as eligible or potentially eligible to receive or be certified for free or reduced school meals. School food authorities must ensure that it does not disclose a child's eligibility status at any point in the process of providing meals, including the notification of benefits, providing meals in the cafeteria, the point of service meal count, or through the payment method. Be sure that overt identification of students is avoided at your school. One important consideration is the point of service. No one should be able to tell whether a student is free, reduced, or paid as they go through the line or at the point of service as shown on the slide. Here is another discussion opportunity about confidentiality. If you are watching this presentation as part of a group, it may be helpful to pause and discuss the point of service and how overt identification is avoided at your school. Now we will discuss racial and ethnic data. Collecting racial and ethnic data annually is a requirement for all school food authorities. All programs that participate in any child nutrition program must have a system to collect racial and ethnic data of its program participants in accordance with regulations. Data must be collected on all participants at all sites annually. This data must be kept for 3 years plus the current year in a secure and confidential manner. It will be assessed during the administrative review. The collection of data is to determine how effectively the program is reaching potentially eligible children and if additional outreach is needed. Here is the racial ethnic form. One form must be completed annually per district, or one per non-public school starting October 1st. When completing the racial ethnic form, complete ethnicity first and then race completed second. You can locate this form on the school nutrition resource site along with the annual eligibility documents. Remember, school food authorities must complete and maintain the form with your records. You are not required to submit these reports to the state agency, but they will be reviewed during your administrative review. Limited English proficiency is often referred to as LEP. This is the requirement to ensure that language is not a barrier to receiving school meal benefits. There is a requirement of assurance of program access for LEP households. LEP refers to individuals who do not speak English as their primary language and who have a limited ability to read, speak, write, or understand English. When there are language barriers, or because alternative means of communication are needed, a reasonable effort must be made to provide materials in formats that the target audience can understand. This includes making information about program eligibility, benefit services, and procedures for filing complaints in the appropriate translation to non-English speaking persons and using an interpreter if needed. Providing alternative means of communication, such as Braille, large print, or audio tape, available to the public, participants, and potential participants may be other examples needed. USDA does provide publications and program materials in several languages. Food and Nutrition Services has numerous forms that have been translated into languages. This site currently has the eligibility applications translated in 49 languages. You will find the state agency's application translated in Spanish, and you will find our eligibility documents on the school nutrition resource site. Sometimes it may be difficult to know which language a family speaks. I Speak cards or posters can be used to determine the first language spoken in a limited English proficiency home. An I Speak card uses short phrases in each of the 49 languages that an applicant can check to indicate the language that they speak. I Speak can help organizations select the appropriate translation and can help ensure consistent and effective interaction with applicants who have limited English proficiency. Here are two additional resources to assist Iowa school food authorities with hearing or visually impaired. Hamilton Relay or Relay Iowa is a telecommunication service that provides full telephone access to people who are deaf, hard of hearing, deaf and blind, or have difficulty speaking. There are specially trained communication assistants who process relay calls and will stay on the line to relay conversations electronically or over a text telephone or verbally to hearing parties. The service is available 24 hours a day, 365 days a year with no restrictions on the number of calls or the length of calls. Additionally, the Iowa State Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf have a list of skilled interpreters that can communicate with the deaf. The site only includes those with an active Iowa license, and the interpreters may be contacted directly about their availability or fees. The responsibility of providing communication lies with you, the Child Nutrition Program. Let's take another opportunity to test your knowledge. Again, if you are viewing this training as a group, you may pause and discuss these next 4 questions as a group. A Burmese-speaking family with elementary students enrolled in your district. You know the parents have limited English proficiency. Last year, income applications were provided in English, as the district was certain that the family knows someone who could translate them. Is this an allowable practice, yes or no? And the answer is no. A reasonable effort must always be made to provide materials in the format that the audience can understand. This includes making the information about program eligibility, benefits, and services in the appropriate translation to non-English speaking persons. Informational materials must be provided in the appropriate blank as needed to help reach all possible participants. And the answer is B, language. In order to reach all possible participants, program materials must be provided in a language that all participants can understand. On occasion, the school nutrition staff will have leftover entrees following the last lunch period and will allow the girls to go through the line for those leftovers. Is this practice discriminatory? And hopefully you answered yes. Overall, you should ensure that food is made available to everyone equally. Now, I do want to make a comment that leftover entrees are not allowed to be given away for free anyway. So if you do have a question about that practice in this scenario, please reach out to your consultant. Children whose first language is Spanish are being asked to sit together at the Spanish speaking table. Is this discriminatory? And the answer is yes. Segregating or separating children who share particular characteristic into groups would be considered a civil rights issue and discrimination based on the protected class of national origin. Next, we will review diet modifications. Federal regulations require school nutrition programs to provide reasonable modification to program meals to accommodate children with disabilities that restrict the diet and require a student to consume certain foods. Child nutrition programs are required to modify meals and snacks for a participant with disabilities when supported by a statement signed by a licensed medical authority authorized by state law to write medical prescriptions. In Iowa, this would include MDs, medical doctors, the doctors of osteopathic medicine, which is a DO, physician's assistants, which is a PA, the advanced registered nurse practitioner, or the ARNP, the dentists, and recently registered dietitians are now allowed to sign off on a diet modification form. The diet modification form should be related to the disability or limitation and provide detail on the diet modification needed. A reasonable modification that accommodates the student's disability must be provided at no additional cost to the student. If the information on the form is not clear, or if more detail is needed, the school food authority should reach out to the parent or guardian for clarification. If a school food authority receives a request for a non-disability special diet, such as personal, religious, ethnic, or moral preferences, although not required, the school is encouraged to accommodate requests if the accommodation meets the meal pattern requirements. When a modification is made within the meal pattern, you are not required to obtain a diet modification form signed by a medical authority. School food authorities are encouraged to offer a variety of foods that your student population prefers. This will not only allow students to consume a healthy lunch or breakfast at school that meets their non-disability requests, but it also may help increase your program participation. Fluid milk substitutions that are nutritionally equivalent to cow's milk may be offered without a medical statement. Although a medical statement is not needed, documentation from the parent or guardian is recommended. The nutrients needed for a milk substitute to be considered nutritionally equivalent are listed on the slide and is also included on the milk substitution chart where in which we have a link to this on the slide. Lactose-free milk and many soy milks are nutritionally equivalent to cow's milk. Any request for a milk substitute that is not nutritionally equivalent to cow's milk must have a signed medical statement. Almond milk, cashew milk, rice milk, oat milk, and coconut milk, and even water and juice are milk substitutes that are commonly requested. These are not nutritionally equivalent to cow's milk, and therefore you may not substitute without a signed medical statement and or the diet modification form. Menu planners must also consider how the meal will be offered and served to an individual with a physical disability. Accommodations for children with a disability may require finger foods, pureed food, special feeding equipment, or other accommodations. Consider accessibility to the cafeteria as well as access to the same meal choices as other students, and the ability to be seated with other students. Examples may include entrances and exits wide enough for a wheelchair, tables that accommodate a wheelchair, and accommodations so that the child can access the serving line. For more information, the USDA Food and Nutrition Services Accommodating Children with Disabilities in the School Meal Program Guidance for School Food Professionals is an excellent reference for all school food authorities. The link is on the screen, and you may also reach out to your assigned school nutrition consultant. Now let's do another knowledge check. A student enrolls in your district and provides a signed diet modification statement stating that he's allergic to gluten. Since this is an expensive diet to accommodate, you suggest that he bring his lunch from home. Is this discriminatory, yes or no? And hopefully you answered yes, this practice would be discriminatory. Schools are required to offer modifications to the standard meal for students who provide a statement signed by a prescribing official. The director should contact the family to discuss gluten-free menu options. Here is a discussion opportunity. If you are watching this presentation as part of a group, it may be helpful to pause and discuss diet modifications and special diets offered at your school. Next, we will discuss civil rights training requirements. Staff with responsibilities within the child nutrition program are required to have civil rights training annually. This includes full-time and part-time staff with responsibilities in the nutrition program. Training must be documented with signatures of those in attendance, the date the training was received, and the training information, such as an agenda or the source of the training. Documentation is to be kept for 3 years plus the current. The purpose of the annual training is to inform, train, and educate child nutrition program staff regarding USDA civil rights requirements, and again, to increase awareness of resources and information available to assist in carrying out civil rights responsibilities. A reminder that this would include all staff working in any aspect of the nutrition program. This would include staff who interact with the participants, those who make eligibility determinations, the kitchen staff, the staff with administrative duties, and possibly those who take meal counts. Training must include all of the following topics: program assurances, public notification, collection and use of data, customer service, accommodations for disabilities, accommodations for language assistance, complaint procedures, resolution of noncompliance, and compliance reviews. It's beneficial to discuss how to best resolve conflict. If a concern is raised by a student or parent, these concerns often can be taken care of within the organization when using good conflict resolution. Tips for conflict resolution include the following. Use reflective listening. By listen to what the person is saying and stating back what was heard. Focus on what the person is saying and not their emotion or appearance. If someone is extremely upset, remain calm and do not become defensive. Try the love technique. Listen to the person, ask open-ended questions, validate the person's concern, and empathize as appropriate. Here is a discussion opportunity. If you are watching this presentation as part of a group, it may be helpful to pause and discuss if there have been recent situations in which conflict resolution may have been helpful. Allegations of discrimination must be based on USDA or Iowa protected classes. As we mentioned previously, civil rights is recognized in 6 federally protected classes in child nutrition programs: race, color, national origin, age, sex, including gender identity and sexual orientation, and disability. Additionally, the 2 protected classes from Iowa, which include creed and religion. So a person can allege that discrimination has occurred and file a discrimination complaint because they feel they were denied benefits, they received delayed benefits, or they received benefits in a dissimilar manner due to being a member of one or more of the protected classes. School food authorities are required to have a written procedure in place on how to handle any discrimination complaint related to child nutrition programs. Be sure that your program has a written procedure for handling complaints specific to school nutrition. There is a prototype on the state agency's website and the school nutrition resource site that can be used if desired. Complaints can be sent directly to USDA by completing the corresponding complaint form. The complaint form should be completed by the complainant, if possible, and sent to USDA within 5 calendar days of receiving the complaint. The individual submitting the complaint is not required to complete the form. If they refuse to put the complaint in writing, the person who handles the complaint must document the description of the complaint. Using the complaint form will assist in collecting all the required information. The form can assist all regulatory agencies in determining the correct course of action to take. Both the complaint form and the procedure template is located on our website under Civil Rights. Any person claiming discrimination of the federal protected classes has a right to file a complaint within 180 days of the alleged discrimination. Complaints filed may be written, verbal, and or may be anonymous. A complaint form may be used. Schools that receive a complaint must submit the completed complaint form to the USDA Office of Civil Rights and the state agency within 5 calendar days of receipt, and no later than the 180 days of the discriminatory act. USDA's email address for submitting a complaint is also included on the state agency prototype procedure and the complaint form template. A finding of noncompliance may be the result of an administrative review, a special review, or an investigation. Some examples of noncompliance could be denying an individual or household the opportunity to apply by not providing the household an application because the institution doesn't want to serve the new population in their city. This would be noncompliance due to national origin. Or providing services in a dissimilar manner, such as providing larger portions to just boys. This would be an example of noncompliance due to sex. Or selecting program sites in a manner that denies an individual's access to program benefits or services on the basis of a protected class, such as serving breakfast in the suburban school locations only, but not at the schools located in areas with a high proportion of minorities. This example would be noncompliance in the protected classes of race, color, and or national origin. Upon discovery of noncompliance, institutions are required to take corrective action immediately to achieve voluntary compliance within 60 days. If voluntary compliance is not achieved, the USDA regional office will be contacted to resolve the issue. There are several resources available for more information on civil rights requirements. We invite you to check out the state agency's civil rights webpage and the school nutrition resource site. Here you will find the Civil Rights Manual, a number of training resources, the Civil Rights Checklist, the Complaint Procedure Template, and the Complaint Form. Training is required annually, so we highly encourage you to use these resources. And in summary, the goal of civil rights is to eliminate barriers that prevent or deter people from receiving the benefits of a government-sponsored and funded program, to provide equal treatment in the delivery of programs and services to all applicants, participants, and beneficiaries of a federal program, to ensure that all applicants and participants understand their rights and responsibilities, and finally, to show respect and dignity for all. We thank you for participating in the civil rights training for your school nutrition program. If you have questions about civil rights, please reach out to your regional school nutrition consultant. Thank you.